priority jungler. Has been first picked by OMG every single time it's been open, but this time around they say we want the Gwen. But I feel like Allies can take the Jace into this. They can look to go Ryze Hecarim themselves. We saw how powerful it was for Ultra Prime, and very, very quickly we might just see that one be locked and loaded here for the side of UP.
Yeah, so I think once more we're going to see the kind of the tail off of the AD carry dominance in these first 3 rotations. Because for me, I think you look towards Jace now as Ultra Prime again in that top side. Works out great for you. And you still got the option then to go towards AD carries once more. OMG trying to operate what looks like a dive composition thus far with the LeBlanc picked up. But yeah, honestly, I think you just go towards the Jace here in that top side. You're going to be totally fine. Okay, never mind. They're going to go towards the Kennen instead. So going to basically fight fire with fire, right? So you know OMG going for these all-ins with the composition that they have. They're just going to go towards the Kennen. Now, the problem that I have with the Kennen, which is why I prefer the Jace a lot more, is that like in a 1v1 scenario in a side lane, the Jace does offer more. But certainly when you get towards team fights, the Kennen can be good against the all-in potential OMG has.
Absolutely. I think, again, looking at how everyone who jumps in, the LeBlanc, the Jarvan, the Gwen, they all want to be right up on top of your face, and the Kennen does very well to try and deal with that. Like you said, though, does limit you in terms of your potential win avenues or options that you come up against later on in the game, depending on how the game goes. And now we start to see some bans coming out for the second half of this rotation, and now we're going to see the Ezreal, the Yuumi, more AD carries being picked away. And honestly, I wouldn't mind to see maybe even a Jinx or Aphelios ban coming out here from Ultra Prime, force the ban onto OMG, and then get your pick of whichever AD carry you like.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jinx is probably your best bet, right? You don't really want an Aphelios against the Jarvan. It's just so difficult to operate in fights with him. And when you've got a decent amount of heals tools coming through from the Hecarim and also the Kennen, it feels like you've got at least a good ability to fight forward. But Ultra Prime, they're not even prioritizing the top AD carries. Just going towards the Ezreal and the Samira ban. Samira obviously like well there for Abel. Well respected pick for Abel. So I think for Elk, right, Jinx still there. I think you go towards that one unless it's banned away here for OMG. And then you can always look towards the counter pick and the support.
Well, OMG thinking about their last ban. To say, I don't think they're going to... I find it weird if you ban one but not the other. And yeah, they're going to go for the Tahm Kench instead. They're saying, look, we don't want to have to try and deal with a very, very, very safe bot lane, especially with these big carries getting taken up. And we imagine we'll see here that favorable matchup in terms of the 2v2, and then, as you said, looking for ShiauC's counter pick. But I've seen crazier things. We might see a deviation from the plot here, Dagda.
It definitely needs something that's going to pack a punch on the AD side, right? Because you are running these double AP solo laners, so I think the Jinx is your best bet, right? A lot of AD damage that has to be respected. OMG gonna maybe back it up towards the Aphelios, and again, like, in situations like this, maybe you could eye up something like a Ziggs on the bot side, but again, you have so much AP damage on both sides from solo laners that it just doesn't really make sense. Now you get the Nautilus in theory thinking, hey, look, there's going to be a Nautilus pickup here from ShiauC, so let's just take the counter straight off the bat, but ShiauC may just go back towards the Leona.
Go for the Leona or the Rel, something that we haven't really seen that much of. We'll have to see now what the final pick is going to be, but OMG have themselves a pretty decent engaged composition as they rounded it out with the Alistar, and you can see there a lot of, in-your-face jump on top of your carry setup here, but that's kind of what the side of Ultra Prime want you to do with the kiting. They're able to, if they're able to provide the kiting for the Jinx and the Ryze, they should be able to melt through these hellfires pretty damn quickly as both teams locked and loaded. And again, we can't mention this enough. This is a massive moment for both these teams in their search for playoffs at the end of the split.
It feels like a large amount of this game for OMG is going to be situated on Aki. Like, when you look towards the mid-jungle, they're kind of the duo that are going to be diving in onto the backline and trying to assassinate Elk. So I imagine that we're going to see Aki playing pretty heavily around Creme in the mid lane. Whereas when we look across at Ultra Prime, this feels like a basically bog standard like team fighting squad, right? Instead of some pressure here for Cryin in the mid lane where you try and look for roams early, but definitely feels like you're kind of looking like, hey, every time this dive from Aki and Creme comes through, let's pop everything to keep this Jinx safe and then look for the re-engage after.
Well, both teams locked and loaded. This will be the final time they play today. Said both teams now searching for those big wins, and especially for OMG and Ultra Prime, this could be pivotal for themselves getting into playoffs. This is a big moment. Ultra Prime desperate for a win, sitting down on 2 and 6, not where they wanted to be. They have got plenty of games to kind of go and rectify that train and rectify their siege and split. But on the other side, OMG, you're already at 10. This will be your 11th series out of 16, and you got to play the likes of FBX, WBG, which is Weibo, RNG, and of course LNG. You've got so many big fights to come to you. You need to be picking up these wins, especially against teams of a similar caliber.
And now that we've pushed to 3 games, everything is on the line, right? You've nothing left here, and honestly it doesn't feel like either side has a definitive like massive strength coming out of draft, right? I still feel like when you look across at OMG, they have some tools to fight against Ultra Prime. Probably honestly a little bit more difficult, I will say, for OMG, just because it feels like they haven't fully annexed into like a dive composition with like Abel kind of being a little bit short range. Like Shanji can do some work with that, but definitely feels like you're kind of looking towards like Elk. Can he keep himself safe in fights? If Elk drops, so do Ultra Prime in these fights.
Jump onto the rift. ShiauC now going to walk forward, but OMG are semi-ready for this. They will get down the ethereal chain. They'll get the knock up as well, and he'll flash away. So no early flash available for the Leona. Ignite did go down, but Cold will be pretty happy with that trade. Ultra Prime now not really having that fresh early engage you can get with the level 2 on the Leona.
Also should give a push to Abel and Cold in this bot side now, because you're 25 seconds on... sorry, you're going to miss the first wave coming through with the minute 30 on the clock. So it means that you can't actually get control for Elk in this bot lane, whereas Abel and Cold should be able to do so as they start off with just helping Aki with his initial buff. And now you gotta have to see how that kind of mixes things up, because traditionally, like when you look towards Hacker, you'd love to be able to go, right, I can like leave Elk and ShiauC to their own devices, but with no flash on ShiauC, and also surprisingly not running Hex Flash either. It's gonna be a bit of a weird bot side here for Ultra Prime.
Curious to see now as Aki level 2, gonna see if he can make something work into this mid lane. Cryin, though, with a level 2 of his own. Now we're going to see the flag and drag come out. Cryin will have to flash himself away. We'll get the Rune Prison down. And good moves here from Aki, getting himself out on the board nice and early and making sure that he could be a disruptive force of nature.
And it didn't cost him anything, right? Like, that was just a transitional gank where he's like, look, I am pathing to my top side anyway, so I'm just going to walk through mid instead and see if I can burn a flash. Now he gets that down for Cryin, and suddenly the mid jungle 2v2 for OMG is set up beautifully to try and make some plays in towards this mid lane. Creme, though, taking a bit of a terrible trade in the mid lane, means that he's already kind of lost his passive, but still should be fine to try and look for kills on Cryin in the next 4 minutes.
Going back, I know you mentioned there ShiauC did not have Hex Flash because he went with Stopwatch and the Minion Dematerializer,
yeah.
So having
Really
both
weird.
actives available to him.
Yeah, I mean, I think in like this scenario, I don't know why he's valued in Stopwatch, right? Like, Stopwatch is great if you're going to be looking at like dives and stuff like that, but I really don't see that happening, at least in theory, in the early stages, because the push out.
Ooh, Abel in a lot of trouble here, has to flash and cleanse. ShiauC without a flash, but without a care for it, because he gets himself a nice trade here. And Ultra Prime, they have the advantage in the bot lane again.
Yeah, Code just walking directly into the jumpers there. Means that Elk and ShiauC now burn that flash, so maybe we can see Hacker try and make some plays onto this bot, and Cryin will look to reset. Maybe he can join him, but top side, Aki wants to go for 3 for 3 on Summoner Spells burst.
Yeah, he wants to try and make it as much of a nuisance of himself as possible. The flag and drag will come out, the flash will be answered, and that's a great start for Aki. He is just burning summoners left, right, and center. Now Hacker recognizing he needs to make something work. He needs to make something happen. With no flash and no cleanse here for Abel, this could be the moment for it to go in with the ultimate. Oh, not the ultimate, it's a Zenith Blade, and they will take him down. It's a repeat of game 1, but the TP comes in much cleaner from Creme, and he picks up 2 kills on the back of it. Double kill there for the OMG mid laner, and he's going to be able to pepper down Hacker's health bar as well.
Really nice job from Creme. Looks in towards the mid lane and goes, hang on a second. With Cryin having burnt flash, he's shoved in. I can walk back to lane without having to burn my TP, and it means that that TP is available for the bot side. So that's where you can see that initial gank from Aki paying dividends in the long run. As you can see here, even though you already had the reset come through from the LeBlanc, she didn't have to burn the TP, and now with that stun coming through just on the dying breath from Abel, it sets up Creme beautifully to pick up that double kill.
Very well done here by OMG, and this is the kind of play that we saw exactly the same in game 1, but this time OMG react to it properly. Creme gets himself nicely down that bot side, nice and early, doesn't wait too long for it to happen, and it ends up being a much more favorable trade. And with Aki now setting up every other lane with just burning flash and flash and flash and flash, it is starting to get a little bit easier and better for the side of OMG to be able to get their pressure down and move this LeBlanc around the map.
And because you'd already got that early reset coming through from Creme, he's at the 4 Dark Seal stacks because he'd got that Dark Seal on that first return, and now he gets pushing mid and plays on bot.
Yeah, pushing mid, plays on bot, and kills on Elk. That is as easy as you like. They will trade it back, though, as the Alistar does go down, and now ShiauC here underneath the tower. They may actually look to try and re-engage this as Cryin is here. Aki waiting for his flag and drag, has got his flash available, has to use his own, but Creme can't get over the wall just yet. He's waiting for his distortion, but not able to get it up in time. Ultra Prime answer back, OMG overextend.
Creme used the Sigil of Malice, which meant he didn't have enough mana to get over the wall. He'd run out of mana for his distortion, so wasn't able to make it out. And then Ultra Prime collapsing. Now Ultra Prime get the turnaround play on bot. They'll get the dragon. And a big win back in favor of Ultra Prime.
Big win here for Ultra Prime, and OMG, they were starting to build a bit of momentum. This is a perfect way to quell that, to stop it. Let's have a look at the replay here, because this is great from Cold. Immediately gets the CC down, and they're able to just completely burn out Elk.
Yeah, locks him up against the wall as well with the CC lock as well. Nicely done. But here, watch Creme, right? Ends up throwing the chains into the Sigil and then doesn't have the mana for distortion, so isn't able to follow up over the wall, which means he gets pinned down. And even here as well, you can see trying desperately to get over the wall, but no mana, no luck.
Yeah, and it's I love that as well. You can see the Shield of Daybreak. It pops down the Leona passive, which means they know which one is the real LeBlanc. They know which one is the one they need to try and focus out, so they were not to be duped. And now Ultra Prime picked themselves up a dragon off the back of that as well. We are starting to see the flashes come back up, though, for Cryin. So Creme's going to have to be a little bit careful in this mid lane. If he gets locked up here by a rune prison as the Hecarim comes in, he could be in for a world of hurt. And already the Leona, ShiauC saying, all right, Elk, I'm sorry, you're on your own. I'm now roaming around the map, using that minion dematerializer to get some pressure around the mid lane.
Yeah, it does feel, though, like it's a bit of a missed opportunity for Aki and Creme, though, right? Like, yes, they tried to make the play on bot side, but they could have just made a play mid. Like, you still didn't have the flash on Cryin. Like, make that play happen in mid, get full control mid, and then look for those plays bot, as Creme now brings ShiauC with them.
Brings ShiauC with him. ShiauC pretty decently tanky with that W passive and gets himself back out. So again, more pressure into that mid lane. We are not going to see a dragon push as it's not available for 3.5 minutes, but in 12 seconds the Rift Herald is. So where do the side of Ultra Prime go? Where does the side of OMG go? Because they are going to be trying to get back in this game. We talked about right at the top of the show that where these two teams find their advantages in the early game, to be aggressive, to get in the face of their opponent. It doesn't always work out for them, but they definitely love to have that action.
Rift Herald is available, but I don't think either team particularly looking at it for the moment. Like, you can see that there's no real push on this bot side for Elk and ShiauC, and a lot of that kind of stemming back to that early level 1 that we saw with ShiauC's flash being burnt. Now, Elk being shoved in, and you can start to rotate Abel and Code up. So at least on OMG side, they're feeling comfortable to kind of half start this up, but there is a ward on that Rift Herald, so they'll know, or at least the Ultra Prime will know that this is available. They just need to be so careful of Creme. 3 kills now on this LeBlanc, but with the Merc threads picked up, not a huge amount of damage in total.
Yeah, not a lot of damage reacted to. You talked about the 4 stacks of the Dark Seal, now down to 1 as he was taken out. Creme waiting for Cryin. As we can see now, Cole goes in with the headbutt pulverized, but immediately flashed away by Cryin. He got himself a summoner back, and now with despite the unbreakable will, he will be broken. There's going to be the Realm Warp coming out. They're going to try and stop Aki from collecting this. They've transported the Kennen right onto the backside. The Cataclysm comes out to kill off the Hecarim, but the Jarvan trades his life for not getting the Rift Herald, and 3 swift kills going over to Ultra Prime. They only traded for 1, and they only lose the experience of the Rift Herald going down.
Again, OMG just not on the same page. Some are trying to fight, some are trying to finish the Rift Herald. Nobody's making a call. Not only do they, yes, kill the Rift Herald, but not pick up the orb, they end up losing out on the fight as well. Super messy from OMG. You'll see it here, right? Like, I appreciate the idea of the engage here, but Aki and Shanji here just go straight back to Rift Herald. when you've already got Code dying. Nobody is trying to save Code. Nobody's trying to follow up on this. And then Ultra Prime are able to, with Hacker, doing a nice job to interrupt the sliding glide coming through from the Jarvan. Means that he can't pick up the Rift Herald, and they're losing the fight as well.
Big momentum shift here for Ultra Prime, and again we're seeing the power of this Ryze. The Ryze being able to slow down, get himself into a decent position, and make sure that he just doesn't go down. He's putting down the DPS, that point and click CC. It just feels so oppressive when you combo it in with all the wave clear he has as well. It's just so difficult for OMG to make something work for them, and right now, this is starting to look a little bit dire for them. They're already down 2,000 gold. The Dragon gonna be spawning in 40 seconds. I don't know if they can contest this.
I mean, especially when you're looking at like the way that last fight went, right? Like, oh, a Cold can set up these fights relatively well and be that dive buddy alongside Aki, but with no damage coming through from Creme right now, that dive buddy combo that we talked about in like Aki's Cataclysm into Creme's burst to kill Elk isn't really there. Cryin as well, still going to be churning out a lot of damage in the meantime too, just with the fact that he's kind of been left relatively untouched in the fights thus far. So I don't know. OMG, you got to try and find some answers. Shanji at least pushing in top, now moving to mid, but has been spotted on a ward. And Ultra Prime may still look to use that TP from Aphelios though to get down towards this fight.
Yeah, they're going to put down Cryin as well, so they've got all 5 members here. They are not willing to let this one go without a fight. They have the Solar Flare available to them. There's some decent ultimates here for OMG, and Creme is off on a flank. They don't know exactly where he is, but they know he's not with the team just yet. They're hunting. They sniff him. There they go. They know exactly where he is now. They know exactly what he's trying to do. Dragon has been aggroed and has been started. Ultra Prime, though, are more concerned with trying to deal with Creme. As you can see, Cryin just going toe-to-toe with him. The Ethereal Chains will pop as both mid laners taking about equal fight. It's kind of a 4v4 versus a 1v1. It's very, very separated. As we can see now, the Dragon down to about 1,500 HP. It's going to reset just at the last second. As it goes back up to 2,000. It's going to be very scrappy. You can see now Creme going over the wall. They'll land themselves a little bit of a rune prism to Shanji. Now here we go. The Dragon has been secured, and they can try and jump onto the backside. Slicing Maelstrom though, going to stop everything from this front line from doing anything as the Alistar finally falls. The Jinx gets excited, and the fight can reset. Creme's clone doing an awful lot of work to dodge out some of this damage as Aki goes back in with the flag and drag. Cataclysm back down as Creme tries to follow him up. Aki trying his best. One more rocket will do it, and that is it. Abel now with the chakrams trying to see if he can do as much damage as possible. It's scrappy, it's hella messy, but at the end of it all, it's still Ultra Prime! Triple kill for Elk! One more auto attack, he wants the Cruncher, you can see it, but he's not going to be given it. Ultra Prime, 2 dragons now, 10 kills to 5.
And a 4,000 gold lead opening up just like that. Ultra Prime played that fight so well, being able to acquire it back as Gold will find ShiauC just being a little bit of a nuisance as Ultra Prime will back away. But I gotta say, this not the play from OMG, right? This fight that's happened on the top side, Creme basically misses every spell onto Cryin. So Cryin gets the full combo off and wins out the trade. Great engage here from Code, but nobody's there to follow up. Aki doesn't have the flag and drag up and available yet, so Code ends up going down before anyone can really follow up. Abel's not able to get into these fights as well because the front line from Ultra Prime is doing a good job. And if Creme is trying to fight front to back, he's just launching himself into so many of these frontline champions for Ultra Prime, so he's not able to get too much done either. Eventually, the return comes through as Ultra Prime get their engage off, and Elk can clean it.
That almost was going to be full house there for Ultra Prime and Elk as well. Creme just about keeping himself alive, but 6, 2, and 3 now for Elk. He's got himself all the way up to his Gale Force. He's very, very heavily accelerated. This game is starting to run away again, similar to game 1. OMG just not really on the same page, not coordinating very well, and I feel like, yes, the Kennen isn't going to do as well in the side lane as Jace will, but in terms of these fights, OMG just giving them Ultra Prime a situation on a platter where the Kennen is just so useful.
Remember what we said as well, if Elk stays up, Ultra Prime win the fight, and now you've got 6 kills onto Elk as Aphelios is in trouble.
He is in a lot of trouble. We'll pop down the Slicing Maelstrom, but the exhaust is good from Shanji, which means that the damage cannot be turned around. Supermeta Rocket does come out, but goes whiffing by, and that's a good little response here from OMG. They need a couple of those now to try and gain pressure on the map. They've actually got already the objective bounties available to them. That's how far behind they are.
I like that they're trying to make the plays topside though, because again, we were kind of saying, look, Allies, at least as this game goes on, will start to lose out in the side lane. So if Shanji then becomes the new win condition from OMG, maybe they can avoid fighting Ultra Prime. But obviously with 2 dragons already picked up for Ultra Prime, it is a Cloud Soul coming up, so maybe OMG are just like, look, give up Cloud, try and play fully for these side lanes and see if we can like link up with Shanji, Creme, Aki, make dives happen onto Allies and make the plays happen that way.
This series has been so scrappy. We talk about these teams being in playoffs, but and I'm not trying to say this to be mean to some of the teams or the players, but I think of some of the teams that are going to be in our playoffs, you know? Like, I'm looking at the list of them right now, and you got, like, Weibo Gaming, LNG, V5, BLG, Top Esports, you know? These are teams that, yes, fair enough, have got their weaknesses, but if Ultra Prime and OMG want to play with the big boys, they gotta try and step up this right now, because it is not looking super clean from either of these teams. We are going to see now Cryin getting jumped on by Creme, but again, with the Everfrost, is going to be able to turn it back around. The Solar Flare goes down, and they're trying to get behind now. As we can see now, there's the onslaught of shadows coming out. The cleanse going to have to be used straight away. Cold has died, as has Hacker. So it's a trade of 1 for 1, but they found the Gwen, and she is no longer immune. Another kill going over to Elk. Ultra Prime did not get themselves the Rift Herald just yet, but they got themselves a team fight.
And now the Cataclysm is up for Aki. So you're kind of wondering, like, looking at OMG, like, why are you trying to go into these fights? Like, try and play it slow if you have to. Like, buy time for Aki to take or at least get his ultimate back up, or don't take the fight at all, right? You can see, like, OMG start this fight because you end up with Creme caught on the side, but it means that you've got no ultimate, no Cataclysm for Aki, no backline threat. Elk once more untouched in these fights. And Cryin has just been able to turn out damage onto everyone in OMG the second they're available. There's just super messy fights. And you see as well, Allies didn't even have to use his ult in that fight. There was just no reason for him to try and play defensive there because, well, OMG were already in the back foot the whole time.
Yeah, he will use a Slicing Mouse from here just to clear away the wave. Now Aki flags and drags himself out. Hacker is cantering. He can go for something. Will land on the Cold, though. Cold, though, has no ult, has no flash, has nowhere to go, and has been donated over to the Kennen Fund. That's going to equal out into another Dragon. Ultra Prime going to be putting themselves on the Soul Point. And yes, it is only a Cloud Soul, but that's a Hecarim. That extra movement speed will equal damage. And yes, he is going to be full-tank Hecarim, but anything he can get will be absolutely fantastically greeted and garnered. See there, Cold. He's just by himself, and there's just no need for him to be there.
Yeah, I don't even care about the soul, to be perfectly honest. Like, I think the big thing for me is just that, like, you now are running out of time for OMG. The best way for you to... Oh, hang on, Creme? Okay, Creme's just dead. That's not helping either.
Move on.
So basically, the best way for OMG to, like, try and counteract Ultra Prime right now is not going to fights. It's trying to, like, play through Shanji in the side lane. Try and set up. Shanji, though, 0-3 because they keep trying to take fights. Hasn't even got his first item completed yet. Still sitting on that Leeching Leer. So... you don't really have the side lane win condition in your favor, but maybe you can try and go towards it. That's not going to happen, though, if you keep taking fights and losing and not being able to trade dragon stacking. Nice flash from Cryin. Not trading the dragon stacking that Ultra Prime are going for a cross-map pressure elsewhere.
Have a look at the replay now. It is just going to be Creme going down, and he just doesn't see the pony. Sadly for him, it's just too much damage.
And you've got 5 kills onto Creme, but the damage just isn't stacking up with him, right? Because he's got the Merc Threads, he's only just got the Luden's Echo. He's not really in a position to try and take over fights. And then you look across at what Ultra Prime have going for themselves, right? The Fimble Winter now for Cryin. Hacker moving towards that Force of Nature, it looks like as well.
I feel terrible for Cold right now, because yes, he's 0-5, but he has to go in. He is such a key and part of their engage that if he doesn't go in, no one really is going to feel comfortable to do so. So yes, he is going to have to put himself into a lot of bad positions to try and make something work for his team. And so, what? Oh my god, the lip from the rock stops that from being seen. That's garbage. I'm sorry, that really annoys me.
Hey, look. It's a part and parcel of it, you know? Just sometimes the words are a little bit funky. Sometimes Nautilus hitboxes are a little bit funky, you know? We come to accept this as League of Legends players. We're not happy about it, but we accept it.
We just have to. It's like, I don't know. I just... sometimes I just want my spaghettis, but We'll come back. I won't spend too much time on it, otherwise I'll just get tilted and annoyed. As we now see Rift Herald, Shelly gonna get a double bop, one into top tier 1, second one into the tier 2. So they're gonna get a pretty decent amount of damage. And with Cryin and Kennen running the teleport, they can run this kind of setup of 2-3. Mid lane turret is under siege right now, and again, you're going to have to try and make this one work for your team. As the solar flare comes out, it's only really slow. There's going to be the realm orb coming in. They're going to use the onslaught of shadows, and already you can see Abel is pretty much not able to do anything in this fight. He has so little HP, and Cold had to sacrifice himself to defend his AD carry.
And just like that, Ultra Prime get mid lane turret, nice engage coming through to follow up, and now with everyone on OMG having to back away, this is going to be a tier 2 gone in the mid lane alongside the tier 2 in the top side gone as well. Ultra Prime firmly in the driver's seat. OMG, they're going.
OMG is right. OMG, I can't believe we're in the game 3 of this series. But again, it is just Ultra Prime playing this better. And I think the key thing has been whichever mid laner, we highlighted it very much at the start of this between Cryin and Creme, whichever mid laner was able to affect outside of their own mid lane wins the game. The junglers have had pretty decent games, but it's been all about this Ryze. This Ryze that was fantastic for Creme in game 1, game 2, fantastic for Cryin in game 1. And now for Cryin again, he's just having much more of an impact. And again, he's going tanky. He's just not going to die. That's the most annoying thing about it, is that he's just so tanky that even if he does get caught out, he's just not going to fall.
And who do you even catch out at this stage? Like, not only just the Ryze, but like every. You've got Elias, who's going to be pretty alright, like working up towards the Void Staff. Even though he doesn't technically have a huge amount of tanky stats, he's still going to be pretty difficult to try and lock down just with the flash being available, the ability to use that ultimate. Also the fact that he's never overextending in side lanes. You can see there, right? Pushing in. He knows that River is kind of as far as he can go, so he's just going to try and play around that. And the desperation Baron from Aki and Shanji instantly going to be spotted by Ultra Prime, who now can look to go, right, you have to exit out towards the top of the map. We're just going to look to barrel down this mid.
Barrel down mid or get the cannon behind enemy lines. They know roughly where they are. So Creme gonna have a nasty little surprise. Oh, actually, never mind. Alice thought about it, but then at the end of it all, just ended up trying to pop out the single once. They've lost the big teamfight ultimate. I will say Creme did lose his flash. The soul should go over to Ultra Prime. It did feel like maybe Elias wasn't really looking at his screen there for a second. Just kind of felt a bit surprised. I thought it was going to be like a moment of him just bursting him out, but they get the reward they wanted. It's going to be OMG now going up against a Cloud Soul of Ultra Prime, and again, they're going to need stuff like that Baron call. They need to try and get something to catch Ultra Prime off guard, because otherwise they're just going to lose. There's nothing else to it.
And there's no way that OMG can really answer, right? Because Creme was sent back packing. You can't really aggress forward. It's OMG. They don't have the damage now to turn over towards a Baron. Even their vision control that they've managed to establish at Baron is pretty shallow at best. I mean, what? I think they have one ward at the back of red, and that's kind of it. That's past the river, or even in river, so you're not really getting much on the map for OMG. Now Ultra Prime just move over. They'll start to clear out the lackluster vision that you'd even got for OMG. And could honestly maybe even just think to turn directly over towards this Baron if they wanted to.
Yeah, they have all the options in the world available to them. I will say there is a one ward there just off to the side, so the side of OMG should be able to discern whether or not it's going down. But look at the items being picked up now. 3 items onto L. Finished up that Lord Dominic's Regard alongside his Rapid Fire Cannon, and of course his Gale Force. Got the Dead Man's Plate here alongside the Turbo Chem Tank, so the Hacker's Hecarim is going to be doing so much damage. And you even have the Void Staff as well, so Alice, though, I don't really think you should be using your ultimate that quickly off cooldown, especially on a distorted target like, or a high mobility target like the LeBlanc.
Here we go, the Ultra Prime starting to move in. It just, I don't know. I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of half listening to you because I was like looking at Ultra Prime's like schedule that's coming up, because I was just like, who do they actually have to play and who do they beat, right? Because we saw them beat LGD, we've seen them go like 1 for 2 against anyone's legend and FPX and that, but like this would be the 3rd win for Ultra Prime. I'm just thinking, like, do they actually manage to make it in towards playoffs? And then I look and they got like DLG, OMG, B5, JDG still to play. It's not looking so bad.
through. Oh, we'll have to see now if we're going to make it out of this game alive, as we are going to see the Cataclysm come down. This is a really good start here for OMG. Elk has to use his flash and his heal to try and keep himself alive, but they're too far behind. That was probably the best opportunity we've seen from OMG in a pick nonetheless. So they do delay the inevitable, or maybe not. They are starting to change destiny with that little bit of a move.
I don't know. I mean, they don't really have like crazy late game scaling, right? Like Shanji can do all right, but he's so far behind at this stage. And I mean, this was just a mistake from OMG, right? You're only 3 people strong. You've got 4 for Ultra Prime. Creme isn't in position. So it ends up just being Creme is in position to jump onto Ultra Prime, so they manage to pick off Cryin. Whereas it's just a step too far for Ultra Prime, where they don't really have all their eggs in the basket yet before they try and go for that. So take it a bit slower for Ultra Prime. Still should be pretty alright. The big like difference maker for me in this one is just Jinx. 3 items already, working up towards that GA. Once she has the GA, Cryin just becomes negligible. Just doesn't really do anything. Because his whole job in this game is to assassinate Elk, and so far we haven't seen it happen at all. And if you've kind of committed everything to like getting health bar number 1 down for Elk, and then he's come back up with a second one, you just don't really have the chance to carry on the rest of the fight, or at least like pop yourself back in his Creme to try and finish him off because of the amount of CC that Ultra Prime
What's your take on Dagda? I don't think anything's going to really happen.
No.
I think we've already established everything about it. So how's your day going? You excited for things?
I got up at 6 a.m. for tech check, and like that's kind of been me on my LPL schedule from that point. So it's kind of just been an LPL driven day, you know?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I got up at 6, but then my power went out, so I couldn't do check. But I was awake, which really annoyed me. Because I was like, if I knew this was going to happen, I would have stayed in bed. Got an extra hour of sleep, but it wasn't to be.
I do, for chat, because you probably don't realize, our director, ShiauC, has this ever-growing library of me, Ushin, Ox,
the entire caster team.
All just yawning because we're all getting up at like crazy AM to actually cast. So every so often we'll be like in a rehearsal, and you think you're getting your next graphic coming up and going, yeah, we're going to talk about Ultra Prime and their stats, and then it's just like, no, slap bam, a picture of you with the biggest yawn of your face. It's pretty great.
Yeah, it's honestly a fun time for everybody involved, and again, we're going to see this tournament. I will say, I know you're obviously talking about this negligible, and obviously the scaling is ridiculous on the side of Ultra Prime, but this is taking a little longer than a 7,000 gold lead at 20 minutes says. You know, this is feeling like they're a little bit tentative, a little bit scared, and yes, you only have 2 items on pretty much everybody on the side of OMG, but if you're able to steal a Baron, sneak away an Elder's Drake, that's a big issue then for Ultra Prime.
I mean, I just don't know why they're not committing to Cryin pushing in a side, right? Like, it feels like you can start to have him put pressure there. Shanji's about to show up on bot wave. Cool. Let's then commit to a play on mid, because Shanji can't come in and join us. Like, we've got this Jinx who's absolutely insane right now. Like, let's take those fights. But instead, they're just not willing to pull the trigger on either split push, like in a 1-4, or the actual fight itself. And yes, you got Dragon that's up in 30 seconds, so they're probably just going to take it slow and play for that. You've got Flash unavailable for allies though, which will make that a little bit tougher. Although he just kind of needs to play defensive at the moment and sit on top of Elk and deny OMG access to it. But without real vision set up in River, it does give more movement and more options for Creme to find those farms.
Now 8 seconds, the Dragon will be spawned. That's 2 big ultimate, or 2 big ultimate ending abilities as Creme goes over, goes back, and just playing a little bit of keep away from ShiauC. Now ShiauC has no flash and no solar flare. That's a lot used, and all you've lost is a distortion here from Creme, and his ult's going to be back up, so he's going to have the double distortion back anytime soon.
Yeah, that was a pretty big faux pas from ShiauC, going way overextended there. And now Ultra Prime, they're the ones trying to back control of River, but this is perfect for Creme because he's sitting on the pink now. You got to be so careful as Ultra Prime. And this is Elder. This is a game-changing objective that Ultra Prime are whiffing completely on the setup.
Cold is running around. They don't know exactly where he is. That ward is not spotting him out just yet. And you can see Ultra Prime, they don't have vision control. They don't have ideas of where everyone is. Now they do. And they see now Cold going to force to use his ultimate here. He's very much on his own. He will delay and delay and delay, but shall be turned into state. As now the Onslaught Shadow comes out onto the backside. Creme trying to get himself away, but gets pushed back right into the wall. Aki trying to defend his mid laner. As we can now see, the Slicing Maelstrom has been exhausted, but Shanji's dead. Now Elk can really make something work for his team. The Cataclysm comes down. He will go golden just to keep himself alive. And what seemed like an absolute eternity should be Ultra Prime going forward. But as we said, the big damage dealers are still alive for OMG.
Yeah, Abel being able to keep his chakrams up and running as well. That's Cryin. Gonna go down. Abel picks him off.
Oh dear, this is all starting to get a bit messy now, Dagda. Ultra Prime, they had such a good fight. They're going to still go to Baron. Your health bars are so low. Elk needs to go back.
Yeah, they are unbelievably low. Maybe they can look for the turn. Creme still hovering here. Abel trying desperately. No ultimates up and available apart from Creme.
Oh, Abel gets caught. No, nothing else left for him to do. I was going to say if Creme could get back and then TP back in, he's going to try and go for anyway as Cold has died and risen on the third time. He's going to go for the steal. Not quite able to get it. Creme still hunting, and they're going to have Shanji coming on the backside of this as well. But with the Elder Drake, these health bars are not going to last very long. Shanji has to run away as soon as he arrives. He says, hello, goodbye. Nothing else to really talk about here, and he will back himself away. ShiauC, though, in a lot of trouble, will get himself out alive. And after it all, Ultra Prime finally take themselves the Elder and then will reset and look for the Baron. Oh, and they say that, Elk! What are you doing? Oh my lord, never mind, he's able to keep himself alive. The Elk is just too strong. Elk almost getting caught out. ShiauC making sure Hacker does as well. This game is ridiculous.
EDG and V5 is going to be cleaner. I swear.
Don't jinx it.
I swear. Just stick around,
Don't
okay?
you dare jinx this.
Yeah, we're going to get a replay here. Cold, unfortunately, just gets caught out. I thought that basically what we'd see from Cold there is like headbutt, Cryin, flash forward, pulverize, but because he got the lock up there from Cryin, he's not able to. And then from this stage forward, OMG don't know where they want to try and put their focus, right? You got ShiauC and Cryin on the top side, who are all super tanky, and they could have tried to fight down towards the bot side. You can see here, kick off Elk. Maybe that could have turned the fight for them, but they just no decision making, very scrappy from OMG. Ultra Prime now with the Elder Dragon will secure the Baron, and now they've got a little bit of time where both buffs are up and available, and they can push in. Looks like top wave is going to be the first port of call, as you've already got a wave established there on that side.
Yep, Baron and Elder, they've got the two big buffs. Only a minute left on Elder because it took them so bloody long to get themselves back onto the map, but it is still going to be a push in. You can see there Shanji off on the backside saying, look, I'm just going to try and split push, maybe look for a flank. Creme doing the exact same thing, but now the inhibitor turrets shall be coming down. You are down about 13,000 gold. Inhibitor will fall, and those Ultra Prime start to put the dots on the I's and the crosses on the T's.
Nearly able to catch up Creme there as he's playing a little bit of a messy game there, but Ultra Prime will round warp out of the beach, pick up this tower. Can't really do anything as OMG. You know where all the threats are. You haven't really seen the link up between the dive duo of Aki and Creme, and Elk has just been protected so well throughout this game. Nearly at full items for Elk, but I don't think we'll get to see it because with no defense here from OMG, Ultra Prime are just going to end the game.
Cryin will literally kill him right now. There's a Slicing Maelstrom coming out. They're going to be able to take down their triple kill there for allies. We said it wasn't the top laner that was the problem, but this Kennen was been pretty clean as we can now see Ultra Prime take themselves onto 3 wins and 6. Big blow though for OMG in their playoff hopes.
Yeah, and I mean, look, if you're looking at this series thinking playoffs for either of these teams, this was not the series. This was messy on both sides. A lot of mistakes coming out from like even simple things from like how like respecting map movements